Hello everyone and welcome back to another video that probably shouldn't exist. Today we're going to be taking a look at a bit of a strange idea I had because I've mostly run out of content ideas. I think there's a way for us to potentially use Ruby on Rails inside of Minecraft. Now the way we're going to do this is we're going to have to run Rails as an API, we're going to have to use ngrok, and we're going to have to play on a modded version of Minecraft. But hopefully I can walk you through all of this and make sure it doesn't take too long so that we can all move on with our lives. But welcome to part one of my Minecraft Let's Play. Now, the first thing you need to do is go download the CurseForge client. And then once you download the CurseForge client, you're going to want a mod pack similar to like all the mods 8. You can do that by going to the little Minecraft icon, browse mod packs, and then search for something similar to all the mods 8, but I don't want to spoil what I'm going to be using. So once you have that, you should then be good to go. You can click on your profile, click play, and then load up Minecraft. Now, once you've done that, you should hopefully find yourself in a world similar to this one. You can see this is a brand new world. Pay no attention to anything else on the screen. So we're just going to start by doing a little bit of wood gathering like we always do. Go punch a couple trees. I should probably turn on the sound so you can actually hear this. Otherwise the joke's not even half as funny. So we're just going to break down some trees, make our crafting table. Okay, and now that we have that, we can go ahead and place it. We'll leave that tree there for aesthetic reasons. And now I'm going to go do some mining off camera. Okay, well that was exhausting, but thankfully I've managed to find exactly the resources we needed to create our tool of choice. Now to do this, we're going to go ahead and use our gold ingots here. We're going to make some gold pants, put some redstone in the middle and a glass panel at the bottom, and now you can see we have an advanced computer from CC Tweaked. Now, as ridiculous as this sounds, this is going to be our gateway into playing with Ruby on Rails. So this mod is actually very interesting because it gives us the ability to run some scripts through a programming language called Lua. Let me increase the size of the GUI. So if we place down this computer, we can right click it and we'll have a Lua terminal running inside of Minecraft. Now you can probably see where this is going. Lua is a programming language. We can communicate between programming languages, especially if we do something like creating a Ruby on Rails API. So let's go ahead and let's do that. We're going to start by running a Rails new command. I'll bump up the font size so you can actually read what I'm doing. We're going to call this whatever we want to. I'll call mine video and hit Control plus a bunch more because you still can't see what I'm doing. After the new video, we're then going to do --API to generate this application as a Ruby on Rails API. We can then go ahead and CD into our video. For some reason, that command looks absolutely wild. And then we can do a code dot to open this up in VS Code. Now that that's done, we'll come over here, we'll drag VS Code over to this side, and let's leave Minecraft up here in the top. Now, really, all I want to do is have the ability to create something that we'll call items, just so we have something to test with. So for this, I'm going to do a Rails G scaffold, call it items, give each item a name of type string by default, and a count of type integer. That'll just let us save this into our database so we can have some type of persistence. And then we should be able to create those through the API. Now, we're also going to be using another tool because I can't get enough of third-party resources today. It is called ngrok. Now, we've covered this on the channel before, and I should have a video or a link to the video that covered this in the description. But let me drag that over. And here it is. It is the access localhost from other devices mobile video. And Minecraft is getting just a little bit too loud, so let me go ahead and mute this real quick. So this video covered how to use ngrok to access your Rails app through like your phone or whatever. And here we're going to be doing something similar. So to do this, we really only need to change one thing, which is going to be in our config. But we also need to actually set up our API. So we're going to set up our API. I'm going to watch it break, and then I'll show you how to fix what breaks. To actually set it up, we need to come into our config, our initializers, and our cores.rb. In here, we're going to do some not best practices. We're going to uncomment the cores, which is actually not a terrible thing. And then we're going to grab this origin and set this to an asterisk so we don't have to think about it. Now, that's the bad thing. Generally, you want to make sure this is the specific IP you're expecting a request from. But in this case, I really don't care to go check what my Minecraft server's IP is. Once that's done, we're effectively done with the cores initialization, but of course we have to come into our gem file because we're using a third-party plugin, the rack cores gem, but we don't have it enabled yet. So let's go ahead and uncomment this, hit Control S to save this, F11 to unminimize, and then we'll run a bundle command to install that gem. At this point, we can go ahead and run a Rails S and then come over to localhost port 3000 and watch everything blow up because I forgot to run the migrations. We'll click the pretty little button to run the Rails db:/migrate command, and now we're good to go. If we come over to /items, we should hopefully see items with our brackets. Now, if we come over to the ngrok website and follow the 3-step setup, which is outlined in the video in the description, you'll then be able to run ngrok http whatever to start your server. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run /ngrok inside of the location where I have it downloaded, space http. And because Rails runs on port 3000 by default, that's why we're on localhost port 3000 right here. What I'm going to do is run this against port 3000. This will then give us a, well, it'll expose my email. So, feel free to, please don't spam me. And then it'll give us a forwarding address here. If we grab this address and paste it into our browser, it'll give us a warning saying that, well, not here, it'll tell us to visit the site, but here it'll give us a warning that says you have to add this to your hosts. So this is the ngrok error that we covered in the video. So to fix this, we just come into our config and we come into our environments, our development.rb, and then we just have to add that ngrok regular expression in here, which I totally have in my notes on the other screen. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll come down here. You can really do this wherever you want to. Maybe we'll do it even up top here so it's just obvious. Do a config.hosts, double angle brackets, and then our regular expression. Now these are usually scary, but thankfully we have GitHub Copilot because we just like burning money. So we can just come in here and we can paste in whatever GitHub Copilot thinks is the correct answer. We can go ahead and save this. Now, because we're updating our development environment, it's probably a good idea to stop and restart the Rails server specifically. Then we'll try ngrok again, and it's still not working because this seems to not entirely be true. It actually needs another hyphen here. So let's save this, stop the server again, and then run this one more time, hopefully. And now if we refresh, we're good to go. We're able to access the website. At this point, we're pretty much done. So now let's come over to the computers in our Minecraft and have some fun with that. Now it is nighttime, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait until day because we're doing this 100% legit. And now that it's magically day through the power of editing and not cheating, we can go ahead and take a look at what we can do on this computer. Now, thankfully, the CC Tweaked, what is this called? CC Tweaked mod does have a page with a bunch of HTTP information. So here is how you can access other websites through this computer. They also have a way to use WebSockets if you're interested, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including like executing admin commands and other stuff. But for this one, we're just going to be using the HTTP request section to mock that up. Now to do this, we have to create a Lua script. So to do that, we can just do a edit command. We can then name this whatever we want to. Maybe we'll call this our video.lua because it's being done in a video. And then in here, we have to follow Lua syntax. Now it's not Rails or Ruby syntax, so it's going to be a little bit gross. So to start with, we're going to have to declare a local variable, and we're going to call it URL. Now, I already disagree with needing to use the word local, but we're just going to set that aside for now. What we're going to do next is grab our ngrok URL, which we'll have right here. And I'm actually going to move Minecraft over to the side again, just so we can do this in one go. So I'm going to come over to the URL right here, and then I'm going to paste this in using Control and V, and then I'm going to hit Control and Enter to save this. Once we have that done, we can now create our request. Creating the request is actually pretty easy. We'll create another local variable, call it request, and set it equal to an http.get, and then we'll just pass in the URL. At this point, we can do a print for the request.readAll with some parentheses because it's a method, and then we have to do our closing parentheses for the print because, again, we're not using Ruby, so we can't skip out on all the parentheses. Once this is done, we'll just do a request.close. Don't forget your parentheses. We'll then hit Control, Save, Control, right arrow key, and then Enter. You can see here the Rails server was actually pinged with that request. Now, over here, we're getting a whole bunch of jarbled nonsense because we're actually making a request to the root of the application. So instead of doing that, and you can see the little wandering trader in the background, we want to grab this URL, and after the slash at the end here, let's just add items. We can then go ahead and do a control save, control run, and you'll see the terminal over here refresh when this happens. And you'll see the terminal over here refresh when this happens. So I'll just go ahead and hit run. And there you go. You can see we loaded it and we're getting that empty set of brackets that we would get if we were on the /items page. So let's go ahead and let's create an item so we can see if this is actually working. I'm going to stop the server, do a Rails C. I'll hit F11 so you can see this, Control plus a couple times, Control L to clear this. And we'll just do a item.create. We'll create one with a name of cobblestone, I guess, and a count of 64. We can go ahead and create that. Transaction complete. We inserted that item. Here's the cobblestone. Here's the count. Here's the created at and updated at. I'll hit Control D to exit out of our Rails console. Rails S again to start our server. And now if we try to run this script again, you'll see we're getting back our cobblestone. We get the hit to our database over here, or to our web server. And over here we can see we have an ID of 1, a name of cobblestone, a count of 64. It was created at this date and this time, which is really close to when the video needs to go up, so I need to hurry and not do any mistakes, etc., etc. That's pretty cool, but what else could we do? Well, we have this request. We're grabbing all of our items, so if we had multiple, we would get them all back. What if we only want one? Well, to do that, we can create another request. I'll just rename the local request. We'll say this is equal to another http.get, but this time we'll do the URL and then we'll concatenate it with /1 to get the first item. Now, because this is Lua, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and take a guess how you do this concatenation. That's right. You don't use the plus, and instead you have to use a double dot with quotes and then a /1. I don't know why this is the syntax. It drives me absolutely bonkers, but it's what we have to deal with. Well, now that this is done, we can do another print where we grab the request.readAll, throw in our parentheses, and then we can do another request.close, close the parentheses, hit save, control, and then hit run. And now you can see the first one has the brackets for an array. The second one is a singular item. So now we're grabbing a specific item, but the $1 million question or the $3 question, because that's what I make off these videos, how do we add an item? So this is where the cool stuff happens, because again, we're using the Rails API. We have access to the controller here. If we come into app controllers and our items controller, we know that we have our create action where we can do a post request to /items. All we need to do is satisfy the items params, which over here is going to be the name and the count. And it doesn't tell you this, but you also need to say that this is a type of application /JSON for your request. So we'll just do all of that real quick. First of all, let's go ahead and redeclare our request because I just don't feel like doing anything else. And we'll do a HTTP, but this time we can do a .post. And you can see here I'm getting a little bit of autocomplete from the Lua computer. We'll pass in our URL, which is going to be /items again. Then we're going to have to pass in some JSON. Now this is where we get a little bit sketchy because we can't just do the JSON braces. We actually need to hide this inside of quotes so that Lua doesn't figure out that we're trying to use a real programming language. In this case, we can hide our request to our Ruby server by just throwing everything inside of a single quote, and then it'll treat everything inside of that just as a string, and it won't realize that we're using JSON to go talk to like a real language like Ruby, which is weird because normally it's the one that gets memed on. But anyways, what we can do now is we can say we need to create an item. So inside of double quotes, we'll say this is an item with a colon. And then the item will also have some braces. Now inside of these braces, I guess I can't do multi-line here, so it's all gonna have to be on one line. I do apologize. We'll say this is a, we'll say it's a name with a colon, and then it'll be grass. And then we'll give this a count, and then this count we'll say will be, I don't know, 99. So it'll be 2 stacks, I guess. And once this is done, we then have the last comma here. We come down to the next line. And in this last line, we have to do some square brackets. Inside of quotes, we have to say this is a content dash type. And then this is going to be equal to, and then in quotes again, application slash JSON. End quotes. We can come down here, and I actually forgot this all needs to be wrapped inside of braces. So let me just do that real quick. We need a brace here, And we're going to need a closing brace here for our content type. Once we have this request, we can really just go ahead and try to save this and then run it. And you can see over here, we've now managed to insert into items our name, our count, our created at, and our updated at. Our name is grass, our count is 99. If I now refresh the items list here, we'll get back 2 JSON objects. The first one will be the cobblestone we made earlier, and the second one will be the grass we just made from inside of Minecraft. And at this point, I'm going to leave it as an exercise to the viewer for how you would destroy a grass, but you'll be pleased to know that there is, in fact, an admin version of this computer, which is a command computer. And in the command computer, you can use your /exec commands to run any admin command on the server effectively. So you could do execute run, time set night maybe, and then that is how you would run that command inside of your Lua computer. So you could, in theory, make a request to the server to delete 5 grass, and then after you delete the 5 grass, run an admin command to give yourself 5 grass, and you could theoretically store your grass on your Ruby on Rails server. And if that's not ridiculous enough for a video idea, I don't know what is. This is quite possibly one of the weirdest things I've ever decided to do. But hopefully you found this at least somewhat enjoyable. This was definitely interesting to make. And yeah, this is an existing server. I've been joking with my friends that I'm running out of ideas, so I'm going to start doing Minecraft tutorials. And I thought of trying to get this to work. And it was just one of those things that was so ridiculous that I had to give it a shot. And then, yeah, I managed to set up a little computer here in our survival world where I managed to get the items.lua to post. And I was so excited because it was so silly. But yeah, hopefully this is interesting and enjoyable. I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore, but hopefully I'll see you in the next actual tutorial uploaded on Friday, hopefully. Thank you for watching.